Don't count on us showing up to your wedding. We've got other things going on. That's what my dad scribbled on a sticky note. Not a phone call. Not even a text. Just a bright yellow sticky note slapped crooked on my fridge like it was a list for eggs and bread. I stared at it, holding the thing like it was hard evidence of something I should have seen coming. Maybe I had. Maybe I'd known for a long time but kept lying to myself about it. Still, reading those 8 words, short, sharp, and colder than any argument we'd ever had, felt like reading. You were never the kid we hoped for. Put into writing. I remember what I did right after, almost like muscle memory. I grabbed that note, ripped it in half, then quarters, then tore it into confetti. Next, I pulled out the folder with the rent agreement I'd arranged for them. $6, $200 for a 3-bedroom place that should have cost double. That deal? Gone. I shredded the lease, then went online and cut my account off from all their utilities, electric, water, gas, everything they'd been letting me cover without a single thanks. Stuff they pretended wasn't my burden, even though I'd been the one shouldering it all along. Then there was the car. A 2016 Mazda CX-5 I bought for them 2 years back to help them get around. It was in my name, because let's be honest, their credit was a disaster. I drove it down to a local shelter, signed the title over to a nonprofit that gives rides to single moms who need to get to doctor appointments. Just gave it away. That same night, I changed the locks on my place. That should have been the end of it. Clean break. But people like my parents? They don't walk away when you finally draw the line. No, they twist the story, make you the villain, the ungrateful one, the heartless son. They rewrite the narrative and cast you as the scapegoat. And for a long time, I let them. I let them paint me as the dependable one, the quiet supporter, the human wallet. Until that note. That damn sticky note flipped a switch in me. Or maybe it flipped it back on. Maybe it woke up the part of me that still had some fight left. This is what happened after that. I didn't always used to be like this. I used to pick up the phone on the first ring whenever they called. Used to send my mom $200 here and there for groceries. Kept their gas tank full before they even noticed it was low. Covered the Netflix account, the Spotify family plan, even paid off the parking tickets Elise racked up and swore weren't her fault. At one point, they owed me over $12,000. I never brought it up. Why would I? I was the reliable one. The go-to guy. The son who had everything under control. Novak always manages, they'd say. We don't worry about him. Of course they didn't. I carried all the worry for them. It all started when Dad lost his job about 2 years ago. He called it an early retirement, but the truth was, he got pushed out after too many complaints from clients. Mom spun it into a silver lining. Now we have more time together, she said. More time ended up meaning more bills. And those bills brought a wave of texts like, "Hey, things are tight this month. Could you take care of the heating bill? This cold's no joke. Elise's card isn't working again. Can we borrow your backup for a bit?" It never ended. That $6,200 rent setup I arranged? It was supposed to keep them afloat. My landlord, an old client, cut them a deal as a favor to me. And still, they wanted more. Elise moved back in with them. Just until she gets back on her feet, they said. That was 14 months ago. She brought her boyfriend Luca with her, too. Guy's main skills were vaping and mastering FIFA. They took over my old room. Said it felt nostalgic. I actually laughed the first time I saw them lying in that bed, surrounded by my childhood posters. It felt like they'd taken over what was left of my younger self. Then stuff started going missing. First it was small, like a $200 Amazon gift card I left on the table for Dad's birthday. Then $400 vanished from the emergency account I'd set up for them. I asked about it once, gently. Dad blew up. "We're not thieves, Novak. Just because you help out doesn't mean you get to monitor everything we do." So I backed off. But I started paying closer attention. That's when I found the Facebook post. Elise had uploaded a selfie at a fancy restaurant. Not just any place, Germain. The same upscale French spot she used to roll her eyes at and call ridiculously overpriced. Caption said, "My baby always spoils me. Hashtag date night, hashtag real men pay." And there, in the blurry background, was my mom, laughing, holding a glass of wine. My stomach dropped. I dug into the restaurant's booking site using a dummy email I'd once made for Dad to help manage their appointments. There it was, reservation for 4 people. The bill? $480. Charged to the same card I used to cover their rent. I printed the receipt and tucked it away. I wasn't ready to confront them yet. I wanted to see just how deep this rabbit hole went. A few days later, Elise messaged me about her credit issues. Said her ex-boyfriend had trashed her credit with fake accounts under her name. Sounded serious. I nodded, acted concerned, then ran a soft credit check through a buddy at a loan agency. No fraud. No identity theft. Just 4 unpaid. Buy now, pay later accounts for fancy skincare and concert tickets. All under her name. Still, I said nothing. Then came the humiliation. My dad sent a video in the family WhatsApp group. It was me walking out of a store with groceries. He zoomed in, added a sticker that said, "Our errand boy." The caption? "Guess who's on dinner duty again?" "Thanks, wallet." Everyone chimed in with laughs. Aunt Fiona sent one of those crying laughing emojis. Uncle Henrik added, "Good to see someone knows their place in the family." Mom didn't say a thing. Elise replied, "Tell him to grab oat milk too. I'm out." I didn't respond. I just saved it all, screenshotted the messages, archived the video, exported the thread. The last straw came a week later. I got a notification. Someone had opened a new utility account using my name. Same address. Their apartment. But I just disconnected my card. When the alert came through, I called the utility company right away. The rep on the line told me the account had been reopened online, using a saved version of my ID. A few days later, I checked the browsing history on my dad's old iPad while I was at their place. Sure enough, my email was there. So was my password. Autofilled, like muscle memory. They were robbing me. Digitally. Over and over again. Like it was nothing. No hesitation, no guilt. That's when it really hit me. They didn't think of me as family. To them, I was a walking ATM with a polite tone, one that still said, "I love you," every time they hit withdraw. And the final moment before I snapped? It was a casual dinner invite. Supposed to be calm. Normal. Mom was at the stove, humming a little tune while she stirred soup. Dad was lounging in front of the TV. Elise and Luca were glued to some TikTok nonsense on full blast. And on the kitchen counter? An envelope with my name on it. Inside was one single thing, another sticky note. Same message, same tone. "Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy." No explanation. No context. Just their latest jab. Petty. Deliberate. I looked up, holding the note. Dad didn't even blink. "Figured you'd want it in writing," he said casually, taking a sip of his beer. Elise laughed. "We're headed to the Algarve that weekend. Priorities, bro." That was it. That was the moment the last switch in me flipped for good. I smiled, stood up, and left without a word. And then I burned every single bridge they assumed I'd never have the guts to touch. They didn't see it coming. The dinner they were hosting that weekend? It was meant for close family only. But I already knew all about it, because Mom accidentally sent the invite to the old family group chat. The one she forgot I was still in. I saw the date, time, guest list, all of it. They were calling it a celebration of us. Us meaning them. Everyone but me. It was being held at the same fancy French place, Germain, the one they'd charged to my card during that $480 feast. Private room. Set menu. Champagne welcome. I RSVP'd under a fake name and booked the table right next to theirs under mine. Not my first time planning something like this. But it would be the last. And this time, I wasn't going alone. I brought someone with me, Elise's ex-boyfriend. Nolan. Yeah, that Nolan. The one she claimed ruined her life, cheated, abused, harassed her. When I first reached out to him, I didn't expect much. But I sent him screenshots. Audio files. Stuff I'd pulled from her backup folders. He didn't ask any questions. All he said was, "Just tell me where to be." We met up 30 minutes before dinner. I handed him a stack, printouts, saved voice messages, a copy of all the fake texts she'd doctored. He brought something of his own too, a draft of a restraining order. Never filed. He admitted he'd been scared of her the whole time. He slipped the papers into a black folder and looked at me once, calm but resolved. "Let's blow up the story," I said. When we got to the restaurant, the hostess tried to stop us at first. I smiled, pulled out my ID, and said, "I've got a reservation next door. I'll be joining my family." We walked in. Mom froze mid-sip, wine glass hovering. Elise fumbled and dropped her phone. Dad looked like someone cut the lights behind his eyes, just sat there blinking. "Novak," he stammered, standing too fast. "This is perfect timing," I interrupted. "Thanks for saving me a seat." I pulled out a chair. Nolan sat next to me. Then I set a small flash drive on the table. "Let's talk about family," I said. I started with the video. Used the restaurant's TV to play it, Elise's voice, stitched together from clips she never thought anyone would find. In one, she said, "If Novak ever gets married, I hope his partner leaves him at the altar." In another, "He's not family. He's funding. That's different." Mom gasped. Dad slammed his hand on the table, but the video kept playing. Then came the side-by-side screenshots, Elise's edited text compared to the originals. One where she made it look like I'd called her a leech, when all I'd written was, "Just checking in, hope you're okay." Nolan opened his folder next. Spread out her plan in black and white. Her own notes. Her own words. Titled, "If he leaves me." Item 1, leak false assault claim. Item 2, send fake screenshots to his employer. Item 3, destroy him with sympathy. Dad stood up again, face red. "This is sick," he barked. "Where the hell did you get all this?" I looked him straight in the eye. "From the laptop you gave her. She never wiped the hard drive." He turned to Elise. She looked like someone had unplugged her from reality, pale and frozen. I wasn't done. "I've got one more guess," I said. In walked Greta, the landlord behind the $5,200 rent deal. She was holding a clipboard. Printed on it, the forged lease renewal Dad had submitted. Still using my digital signature. "I didn't authorize this," I said. "I revoked access weeks ago." She nodded. "Someone printed, scanned, and backdated the document to make it look legit." That's when Mom dropped her wine glass. It shattered across the floor. I looked at Dad again. "You forged my name. On a legal document." His response? "You owe us. We gave you everything you have." I stood up slow, steady. "No," I said. "You gave me debt. You gave me silence. You gave me the kind of trauma you don't realize you carry until you're 3 therapists deep and still apologizing for things you didn't do." Then I reached into my bag and pulled out one last thing. The sticky note. I'd scanned it, blown it up, printed it on thick glossy cardstock, like an invitation. "Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy." I held it up for everyone to see. "This is how you RSVP'd. Let me return the courtesy." I laid 3 envelopes on the table. 1. A formal notice confirming the utilities were fully disconnected. 2. Transfer documents for the Mazda, now under my name. 3. A donation certificate, issued in their honor. Their old car, now property of a nonprofit that supports abuse survivors. And then? Silence. Dead, heavy silence. Then Nolan, calm as ever, looked around the table and said, "She lied. She framed me. And tomorrow, I'm filing a civil lawsuit. That was the first time Elise actually broke. I hate you! She screamed at me, voice cracking, face flushed. Dad shot up, stepping toward me like he meant to do something. But Greta blocked his path. You're lucky I haven't filed a lease fraud complaint today, she said flatly, ice in her voice. I turned to the restaurant staff, who were standing frozen near the entrance. Sorry about the chaos, I said. We'll be on our way. But before I left, I leaned in close to my dad, low enough so only he could hear. Next time you want to leave a note, I said, don't stick it on my fridge. Stick it on your mirror. The fallout hit fast. That very night, Nolan went public, posted a thread online with screenshots, recordings, timestamps. Every lie Elise ever told, every scheme she tried to run. Within an hour, it was trending locally. By morning, it reached her job. By noon, she didn't have one. That afternoon, I got a single message from her. You turned everything upside down. I didn't respond. Just forwarded it to Nolan for his court file. Dad disappeared. Deleted Facebook. Took his LinkedIn offline. But not before I sent an anonymous tip, complete with evidence, about the forged lease to his former employer. Greta didn't sit on her hands either. She went forward with a formal report for digital fraud. The police haven't filed charges yet, but the investigation's active. Meanwhile, the apartment? Silent. Exactly 72 hours after the restaurant, I pulled the plug. Power off. Gas cut. Internet gone. 3 days of ticking silence. The kind that forces you to hear the echo of your own choices. They had 2 clear options. 1. Find a new place. 2. Admit I'd been the one keeping their world turning for 5 years. They picked option 3, cry on Facebook. Mom's post showed up that same evening. Family means forgiveness, not destruction. You don't abandon the people who raised you just because they made mistakes. Some relatives chimed in with the usual pity. So sorry you're dealing with this. But not everyone bought it. One cousin dropped this. Didn't you say last year Novak wasn't invited to Christmas because you couldn't deal with his face? That got 340 likes. Someone else added. So forgiveness kicks in right after the free ride ends. Got it. Mom deleted the post in under an hour. Didn't matter. I'd already archived the whole thing, screenshotted it, added it to the growing file. Yeah, I went public. Created a Google Drive folder called, This is what family looks like. Inside. Video of Dad yelling at a server half his age. Side-by-side screenshots of Elise's doctor texts. The sticky note, front and center. Records of $27,000 in support I gave over 3 years. Audio clip of Dad growling. You owe us everything. No screaming. No pity parties. Just cold, clean facts. I let the truth bleed out. Slow. Precise. Icy. Posted the link on Reddit. Then Twitter. Then dropped it anonymously to Quiet Cutoffs, a blog for folks who've gone no contact with their families. It caught fire. Within days, podcasts were asking to interview me. A YouTuber with 700,000 subs called it the cleanest family takedown I've ever seen. I didn't say a word. Didn't have to. The story told itself. My phone lit up with calls I didn't return. Dad left a voicemail that started calm, then spiraled. You're poisoning people against us. You've wrecked your own name. No one's gonna love a man who betrays his own family. I saved that one. Labeled the file, Final Threat. Elise followed up with 3 texts. You win. Good luck with your perfect little wedding. I'm going to sue you for defamation. She didn't. Why? Because 2 days after that message, I posted something new. A photo of the donation certificate from the car I'd reclaimed, now framed and hanging on the wall of a Portland women's shelter. The caption read, For every time I was told I existed just to serve, now my name helps people who actually matter. The shelter reached out. Asked if I wanted to volunteer. I said yes. That same day, I untangled every last digital thread connecting me to my family. Closed the shared bank account. Cancelled the family phone plan. Removed everyone from Apple Family Sharing. Even nuked the HBO Luca login my dad still used, right in the middle of an episode. I cut every cord. Financial. Emotional. Digital. And in the silence that followed, I built something new. I launched a Substack. Called it, In Case They Ask Why. A space for stories about invisible kids, quiet scapegoats, and people who walk away softly, but for good. Within 2 weeks, I had 9,000 subscribers. 3 featured essays. 1 syndication deal. My second post was titled, The Sticky Note That Started a Revolution. I opened with a single sentence. They said they were busy on my wedding day. So I got busy making sure they'd never attend anything else again. They never made it to the wedding, of course. Oh, they tried. 1 week before the ceremony, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. My mom's. Inside, a printed email thread. It was her, begging an old pastor from my childhood to bring her son back to the fold. He's being brainwashed by strangers online, she wrote. We just want to see him get married. No apology. No ownership. Just a fantasy where I was the one who'd lost the plot. The pastor never replied. I framed that letter. Hung it on the wall of my new home office. Right beside a small plaque that says, Busy Forever. The wedding itself? Simple. Clean. 42 guests. No drama. No apologies. And not a single blood relative in sight. My wife didn't wear white at our wedding. She wore gold. Not by accident. We chose it because we weren't selling anyone a fantasy. This wasn't a beginning draped in pretend perfection, it was a middle. One hard-earned and honest. We'd both been through the fire. We didn't show up polished. We showed up real. When we stood facing each other, I didn't vow forever. I've seen what people do with that word. I promised her volume. That I'd never go quiet on her. That I'd never make her shrink to keep the peace, the way I did for years with people who claimed to love me. That I'd speak up. Even when it's hard. Especially then. Nolan stood beside me. My best man. I know, it sounds bizarre. Elisa's ex, standing up for me on the biggest day of my life. But that's the thing about trauma. It doesn't just break things. Sometimes, it rearranges them into something better. He became family, the kind you earn, not inherit. He ended his toast with this. Some people are born into families. Others survive their way into them. The room erupted. And for once, I didn't doubt whether the applause was for me. 3 days later, one last voice reached out from the wreckage. My father left a voicemail. No hello. No acknowledgement of the wedding. Just the sound of him breathing like he just climbed a flight of stairs, and then. You might be making a name for yourself now, but don't forget, you still carry mine. That was it. Not love. Not regret. Just one last pull on the chain. I uploaded the message to my Substack. Captioned it. When the man who walked away still thinks he holds the deed to your identity. The response was wild. Strangers started tagging me in photos, burned or shredded sticky notes, captioned with things like I'm done apologizing for outgrowing my damage. One therapist emailed to say she'd printed the article and framed it in her waiting room. That's when I understood what had really happened. I hadn't just gotten free. I'd built an exit others could walk through. Elise never showed her face again. But I did get a letter, from her attorney. She wanted the car back. The one I donated. Said it had emotional significance. I mailed her a USB drive. On it? A video of her curled up with Luca in my old bedroom, giggling, saying, Novak's basically my human debit card. It's kinda adorable. No response after that. 6 months went by. Then, I opened a new account. Not financial, creative. Not a startup. Not a podcast. A publishing label. Sticky Note Press. Tagline: Stories the family would rather stay buried. First book? Mine. Title: Do not expect us at your wedding. We're busy. The dedication read: For the version of me who didn't speak up. You deserved louder love. It made the indie nonfiction charts, number 3. Didn't tour. Didn't post selfies. Did one radio interview. They asked, Would you ever make peace with them? I said, I already did. Peace just didn't look like them. The next morning, I changed my phone number. No ceremony. No announcement. Just slid the SIM card out of my phone at the post office, held it over the trash, and let it fall. No one noticed. That's when I realized they weren't reaching out anymore. Not because they understood, but because they finally believed me. I don't answer to ghosts. Now my life is quiet. New apartment. New locks. No shared anything. My wife and I keep Sundays slow and sacred. Coffee on the balcony. No noise but the city waking up. Sometimes, a breeze will carry a neighbor's sticky note off their fridge and onto our railing. We always laugh. Not because it's funny, really. But because once, those yellow squares reminded me of everything I owed. Now, they remind me of everything I survived. And how sometimes, walking away isn't enough. Sometimes you build a fire. And finally let yourself be warm.